Professor Dr. Abderrazak Hajjoui. Welcome, Dr. Abderrazak. We are with.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Abderrazak Hajjoui from Morocco. I am professor of physical and rehabilitation medicine at the University Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah from Fez and member of the ISPRM Cancer Rehabilitation Specific Interest Group. I am forced to participate with you by a pre-recorded virtual presentation due to the COVID pandemic, which prevented me for the second year from being with you in person. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Aissam Abda, President of the Congress and Head of Rheumatology and Rehabilitation Department at Asyut University, and all the members of the scientific and organizing committees for your kind invitation to participate in your 7th Congress through my intervention in this first rehabilitation session. I am very excited to be given this opportunity to start my scientific activities for the new year 2022, which with a conference in your Congress entitled "It's Time to End the Neglect of Cancer Rehabilitation in North Africa." I have no conflict of interest regarding this conference. To explain why it's time to end the neglect of cancer rehabilitation in North Africa, let's take a look at some facts about the current situation of cancer in 2022. The global cancer burden is estimated to have risen to 18.1 million new cases and 9.6 million deaths in 2018. 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women worldwide develop cancer during their lifetime, and 1 in 8 men and 1 in 11 women die from the disease. Worldwide, the total number of people who are alive within 5 years of cancer diagnosis, called the 5-year prevalence, is estimated to be 43.8 million. The burden of cancer is becoming overwhelming for health systems and especially for low and middle income countries. The world will see a 60% increase in cancer cases over the next 2 decades. The number of cancer survivors has skyrocketed for 3 main reasons: increases in the size of the population, aging of the population, and enhanced use of screening techniques. Given that the past 50 years have seen tremendous advances in research on cancer prevention and treatment, scientific studies on cancer-related mortality have shown a decrease in overall cancer mortality rates of around 1% per year was observed between 2000 and 2010 in higher and lower income regions and in both sexes, and survival can be up to 5 years in 64% of all cancers. So comprehensive reports from WHO show that physical and psychological disabilities are common in people living with cancer and that they have unmet needs. Cancer-related disability manifests in functional, cognitive, and psychological limitations that can impact on a person's physical, social, and emotional well-being and quality of life. As the director of the International Agency for Research on Cancer said, deaths from cancer have been reduced. high-income countries have adopted prevention, early diagnosis, and screening programs, which together with better treatment have contributed to an estimated 20% reduction in the probability of premature mortality between 2000 and 2015. But in low-income countries, only saw a reduction of 5%. Changes between 2000 and 2015 in the risk of dying from cancer at age between 30 and 69 years for selected countries with low or medium human development index and high or very high human development index is shown in this slide. In Morocco, we have reduced the risk of dying from cancer by 3% for people aging between 30 and 69 years old. Years lived with disability is a measure reflecting the impact an illness has on quality of life before it's resolved or lead to death. This figure shows years lived with disability of cancer in different countries between 1990 and 2018. And you can see here that in Egypt, the year lived with disability have an upward curve, and it's growing. In 1990, cancer was ranked number 21st as a health condition caused years lived with disability. And with the reduction in mortality and the increase in the number of cancer survivors, it was ranked in 2017 in the 19th rank. Disability adjusted life years represent the loss of equivalence of year of full health. Disability adjusted life year for cancer or health condition are the sum of the year of life lost due to premature mortality and the year lived with disability due to prevalence scales of cancer or other health conditions in the population. This figure shows disability adjusted life years of cancer in different countries between 1990 and 2018. And you can see here that in Egypt, the year lived with disability have an upward curve. The economic impact of cancer is significant and increasing. Cancer causes the highest economic loss of all of the 15 leading causes of death worldwide. The total annual economic cost of cancer in 2010 was estimated at 1.16 trillion US dollars. The economic toll from cancer is nearly 20% higher than heart disease, the second leading cause of economic loss. To sum up the facts today about the current situation of cancer in 2022, we can say that survival rates of cancer have been rising over due to early detection and improvement treatment. On the other hand, treatments of cancer may have detrimental effects as many cancer survivors experience long-term negative physical and psychological effects from cancer or cancer-related treatment. In 2022, cancer must be managed as a non-communicable disease, and rehabilitation care must be integrated part of overall cancer management. Health and demographic trends in the North African region have placed new challenges on health systems due to the growing need for cancer rehabilitation. Cancer is the leading cause of deaths in economically developed countries and the second leading cause of death in North African countries. Cancer burden is getting more and more overwhelming for the health system, especially in low and middle income countries. The burden of cancer is increasing in economically developing countries as a result of population aging and growth, as well as increasingly an adoption of cancer-associated lifestyle choice, including smoking, physical inactivity, and unhealthy diets. As you can see in this slide, Northern Africa is ranked second after the Western Africa in terms of new cancer cases and deaths. The incidence of cancer in North Africa is more than 283,000 new cases against a death rate of more than 178,000 people who died in 2018. Ultimately, in North Africa, we have more than 104,000 cancer survivors with secondary complications, disabilities, and poor quality of life. Lung cancer in males is the most frequently diagnosed cancer and the leading cause of cancer deaths in North African countries. Lung cancer was followed by liver cancer. Breast cancer in females is the most frequently diagnosed cancers and the leading cause of cancer deaths in North African countries. Breast cancer was followed by cervical cancer. The 5 types of cancers with the best 5-year survival rates in North Africa are breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, cervical cancer, and rectum cancer. Development of specific rehabilitation programs for these 5 types of cancer is urgently needed. A patient surviving cancer suffers from more disabilities, functional limitations, and poor quality of life. The level of functioning and disability of these surviving patients must be assessed in order to be able to situate it on this line, which varies from optimal functioning to total disability, assuming that there is no one with optimal functioning or total disability. The International Classification of Functioning, Disability, and Health is a framework to approach the assessment of the level of functioning and disability of these cancer survivors. In breast cancer, for example, all bodily function and structures must be evaluated, such as pain, fatigue, lymphedema, asthenia, muscle strength decrease, etc. We should also assess any activity limitations and participation restriction, and above all, don't forget the evaluation of personal and environmental factors. On this website of the ICF research branch, you can find the comprehensive and brief ICF courses for breast cancer, and you can use it in the evaluation of your patients in your daily clinical practice. Cancer survivors are at risk for impairments that arise from the cancer itself or as a consequences of cancer treatments such as surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy, and or the interaction of these factors with comorbid medical conditions. Functional limitations related to cancer treatment may arise shortly after treatment initiation acute toxicity. Some acute toxicity resolve at treatment completion, but others may lead for years long-term effects. Additionally, some functional limitations may first arise months or years after treatment is completed, late effects. Regardless of onset, functional limitations may affect one or more organ systems, including musculoskeletal, cardiovascular, pulmonary, and psychological systems, and may include additional symptoms such as pain, fatigue, peripheral neuropathy, and sleep disturbance. You can see here the results of the cross-sectional study, including 140 Moroccan women survivors after breast cancer. Its aim was to characterize the various components of disability in patients with breast cancer and to investigate the factors associated with disability. Our population had a mean age of 49 years, and 96% were housewives. The main deficiencies were shoulder limited range of motion, lymphedema, pain, insomnia, fatigue, anxiety, and depression. Upper limb impairment was found in 7.8% of cases and was correlated with various deficiencies, namely joint limitation, pain, insomnia, fatigue, anxiety, and lymphedema. Impairment quality of life was correlated with the presence of upper limb disability and with the various deficiency, namely insomnia, fatigue, pain, joint limitation, and depression. Thus, improving the quality of life of women with breast cancer can't be achieved without the proper management of impairments and disabilities related to cancer and or its treatment. 68% of our study population reported a restriction on participation in family events. Impact of cancer on children is evaluated at 28% on schooling, 26% on school performance, and 36% on quality of life. Return to work is a public health priority. A third of all cancer survivors didn't succeed to returning to work 18 months after diagnosis. Overall, cancer survivors have 1.5 times higher risk of being unemployed compared with healthy controls. All this should lead the National Public Health Authority to publish recommendation on return to work and health prevention of exclusion from work. For cancer survivors, rehabilitation is the only guarantee of full participation, and rehabilitation is an effective way to prevent exclusion from work. We all agree that it's time to advocate for strengthening rehabilitation, cancer rehabilitation in our health systems. But how to strengthen cancer rehabilitation in the political and clinical agenda in North Africa? Great opportunities don't come every day. So we must seize the opportunities that present themselves to us in 2022. The first opportunity we have is universal health coverage, which sees rehabilitation as a fundamental part of cancer management. The second opportunity is the WHO Action Guide for strengthening rehabilitation in health systems by 2030. Within this Rehabilitation 2030 initiative, WHO is developing a package of intervention for rehabilitation for 20 health conditions, including cancer. in order to strengthen rehabilitation by 2030 in the health systems of developing countries. All North African countries in particular and developing countries in general are concerned by the 2030 rehabilitation initiative by the WHO, since there is no cancer rehabilitation program in the 5 countries of the region, as this study, which was carried out in 2020, shows. Cancer rehabilitation is fundamental for any cancer survivors in 2022 because cancer management has a double challenge to save the life of the cancer patient and then to give a quality to that life. An interdisciplinary synergy between the oncology team and rehabilitation team is mandatory to offer personalized care to cancer patients. 4 categories of cancer rehabilitation are needed to help your cancer patients. Preventive rehabilitation starts soon after cancer has been diagnosed, performed before or immediately after surgery, radiotherapy, or chemotherapy. No impairments of function present yet. Preventing impairments is the purpose of this rehabilitation measures. The second category is restorative rehabilitation, aims for the maximal recovery of function in patients with remaining function and ability attempts to achieve maximal functional recovery in patients who have impairments of function and decreased abilities. The third category is supportive rehabilitation, increases self-care ability and mobility using methods that are effective for patients whose cancer has been growing and whose impairments of function and decline abilities have been progressing, also including preventing disuse such as contractures, muscle atrophy, loss of muscle strengthening, and decubitus. And the last category is palliative rehabilitation, enable patients in the terminal stage to lead a high quality of life, physically, psychologically, and socially, while respecting their wishes. They designed to relieve symptoms such as pain, dyspnea, and edema, and to prevent contracture and decubitus and to design to relieve symptoms such as pain, dyspnea, and edema, and to prevent contractures and decubitus using height, low-frequency therapy, positioning, breathing, assistance, relaxation, or the use of assistive devices. Rehabilitation is necessary to help your cancer patient and should be prescribed early as soon as the diagnosis is made and regardless of the stage of the disease and the phase of treatment. In this last part of my presentation, I will share with you some of the activities that we have implemented in Morocco to develop cancer rehabilitation in the national health system. The collaboration with the medical oncology department at the University of Fez began in 2011, and we organized the first national cancer rehabilitation conference in March 2012. We have also developed a university diploma in non-communicable disease rehabilitation, which started in June 2015. And we created a cancer rehabilitation unit focused on breast cancer rehabilitation in December 2015. The first international cancer rehabilitation course was organized in July 2018 in partnership with the Royal Melbourne Hospital and with the support of ISPRM. In conclusion, I can say that it's time to act because cancer is a public health problem that has a significant social and economic impact and multiple disability, complex psychological context. Improving the quality of life of cancer survivors can't be achieved without a personalized rehabilitation program to manage the impairments associated with the cancer and or its treatment. To develop cancer rehabilitation in our health system, we must do advocacy work at different levels, the political level, educational, research, and funding level. And at the end of my speech, I finish with the WHO definition of the health, which say that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And without rehabilitation, we will never be able to improve the health of our cancer survivors, even if we succeed in reducing mortality and prolonging their survival after cancer, because the really important thing is not to live, but to live well. Thank you. Looking forward to meet you all in person. Thank you so much for your attention and listening, and your questions and comments are welcome.
Thank you very much, my dear friend, Dr. Abderrazak. Actually, you tackle a very important subject in rehab because cancer affects the quality of life of these patients. And I am sure that it is a time to advocate rehab in all cancer patients. Thank you. And now it's time for the discussion or for any question for Dr. Abderrazak. Do you have any question for Dr. Abderrazak? Okay, just I want to ask, you have already a protocol for a cancer patient in Morocco, right? I would like to have a look for this protocol because it is also important. You know, the population in Egypt is more than 100 million persons. So for sure, it is good that we make, you know, a collaboration between Egypt and Morocco regarding the spread of knowledge for cancer rehabilitation in North Africa. So it is very, very important subject because the incidence of cancer is increasing, and these kind of patients, they need the support and need to give more care for such patient for rehabilitation. So thank you very much, Dr. Abderrazak. And actually, we would like to see you this year in Egypt, but because of Corona epidemic, so inshallah, in the 8th Rheumatology Acute Conference, we would like to see you healthy here in Asyut, inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Abderrazak, and we hope you will be all right and everything will be okay. Thank you very much. I think by the end of this topic, we finish all the activity of today. Inshallah, we'll see everybody tomorrow with opening, at 8 in the morning. We'll be here. Okay, at 9 in the morning. Thank you for your attendance. And now it's time to take a photo together, inshallah.